Now, when you apply for a master's or an undergraduate program, apart from your application file and your personal statement, your CV or your resume is also considered an important part of your application. Why? Because your resume is a summary of all your academics as well as professional projects and what kind of hard and soft skills you have. So making a good resume is very important for your application. So without wasting any further time, let's get started. So the first thing to keep in mind is the structure of your resume. You can definitely find many templates out there, but when it comes to a resume or a CV, the general idea is to keep it simple, elegant, and professional. So avoid making resumes with multiple columns, resumes that go up to 2 or 3 pages, resumes that have tables and pictures and sometimes too much color. Your resume or your CV should be preferably of 1 page, should have a clear format, should list down only relevant skills, academics, and professional experiences, and should have proper details with relevant keywords to explain the result and impact that you had. So let's start with the first one, a 1-page CV. So whenever you send in your application with your resume, be it to a school for your admission or to a company for a job, how much time do you think a recruiter would look at your CV? The average amount of time that they will spend will probably only be 10 to 15 to 20 seconds max. What do you think will perform better? All the relevant skills and experiences presented precisely within 1 page, or all the details whether relevant or not to your case here in 2 to 3 pages. And additionally, according to a survey conducted on about 125,000 resumes, the result indicated that the ideal length of a resume should be between 475 words to 600 words, and almost 77% of the resumes fell outside of that range. And if you have information that doesn't really fit into 1 page, consider cutting some of it out. I've linked the study that I've referred here in the description below, so do check that out if you want. Now moving on to the second point, your resume should have a clean format. Now with the general idea that I mentioned above, an HR recruiter or an admissions committee member would just spend about 15 to 20 seconds looking at your CV initially. Do you think it will be a good idea to structure your resume in a way that has multiple columns or multiple tables or just too much white space? The general idea of a resume is to present the academic and professional experiences of an individual in a clear and readable format. So avoid having multiple columns. Avoid using tables that take up too much space. Avoid bright colors and just keep everything in a nice vertical fashion. Now moving on to the third point. Your resume should only list relevant skills, academic projects, and professional experience. So we live in a world where sadly the resumes of all applicants go through a tracking and a filtering system where a company or a school potentially rules out candidates that they think are low potential candidates. And that is why you need to list relevant skills and experiences in your resume. Let's say you are applying to a business school for a master's program. And in your undergraduate school, you have 2 to 3 technical papers, 1 to 2 internship experiences, 3 to 4 academic projects, and a bunch of other activities that you did in your undergraduate school as well as high school. And now, if you try to fit all of them into your resume, the chances are you will definitely exceed the 1-page limit. So here you need to decide which of these experiences and projects are relevant for your application. The relevancy can either come from the context of the project that you did or from the timeline of the project. If you're applying to a business school in 2022 and you have a project from 2017 or earlier, maybe it's too old to put now in your CV. List every project and experience you have in these categories and then find the most relevant and the most recent ones. Now moving on to the last point, your resume should have proper details with relevant keywords to explain the impact and the result that you had. Now that you have decided on the relevant projects that you need to mention in your resume, you also need to decide the relevant details that will help you explain these projects in a precise and concise manner. The best way to present something is by focusing on quantifying the results so that the reader can understand the impact that you had. There is a very popular formula that you can use called the XYZ resume bullet formula, which goes like accomplished X as measured by Y by doing Z. Now let me give you 3 examples if you're trying to highlight a business experience. Now let's start with the first one, the basic one that a lot of people mention, but this doesn't help your case at all. Grew revenue for small and medium-sized business clients. This doesn't help your case at all because it doesn't give any quantifiable results. Grew revenue could be maybe 1% or maybe 100%. So you have no figures at all. Now this can be improved with the second example, grew revenue for small and medium business clients by 10% Q on Q. Now this somewhat quantifies your result but still doesn't exactly follow the formula accomplished X as measured by Y by doing Z. You are missing the by doing Z part here. So finally, the last and the best example of how you can highlight a business experience is grew revenue for 15 small and medium business clients by 10% Q on Q by mapping new software features as solution to their business goals. Now this one properly follows the formula accomplished X as measured by Y by doing Z. So this is how you need to highlight experiences in each of these categories: the academic category, the professional category, and any other volunteer experience category. And now additionally, whenever you're using this formula, there is one more thing that you need to keep in mind. Just like how you decided on the relevant projects that you want to mention in your resume, you also need to decide the relevant keywords that you will use to explain these said projects. Because again, the first step is your CV will go through a filtering and a tracking system where the low potential candidates will be ruled out. If you're trying to explain an internship experience at a marketing firm, maybe use points where you talk about developing and executing a marketing strategy. You're gathering data from qualitative and quantitative research. Maybe you're planning a market entry with different campaigns. And similarly, for other experiences and projects, find out the relevant keywords that are used and recognized in that domain. And then finally, just replace the most used action verbs with something that conveys your meaning in a much better way. For example, instead of using managed, try directed, guided, facilitated, or recruited. Instead of helped, try coached, facilitated, or assessed. Instead of created, try designed, developed, or conceptualized. Now, apart from the study that I referred for this video, I have also put a link in the description below that has a 10-page document on resumes and cover letters that is given out to Harvard undergraduate students, so make sure you download and use that for your application. And if you haven't watched any other video in this series, then make sure to check them out. Those are linked in the description as well. If you found it helpful, do give it a thumbs up and also consider subscribing to the channel for more tips on pursuing higher education and moving abroad. As always, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.